Brayden Ankin is not your average 16-year-old young man. He began his love for anything with wheels at just 1 year old with a custom electric four-wheeler sponsored by Pampers. He outgrew that four-wheeler and has been obsessed with going bigger and faster ever since. It's no surprise that being the son of Toymakerz David Ankin, Brayden would share his love of tricked-out vehicles with his dad. While being an AB honor student, actor, painter, and welder, is there anything Toymaker 2.0 can't handle? Let's find out. Welcome to the Cutting Edge Garage Podcast.
Hi, everybody. Welcome back to the Cutting Edge Garage Podcast. Today we have the honor and privilege of interviewing Brayden Ankin, son of David Ankin, from the hit series TV show, Toymakerz. Brayden, thank you for taking the time to join us. Tell us a little bit about yourself for those that don't know Brayden Ankin.
Well, I'm 16, work at Toymaker where we build cars, trucks, motorcycles, and really anything you can think of from the ground up.
What's it like to be a 16? So first of all, and this is something that the audience isn't really going to know, but you're a very grounded young man, very polite, very respectful. Obviously has a lot to do with the way that your dad raised you. But at the same time, with your dad being a celebrity, how do you stay grounded as a 16-year-old young man with, all of those pressures going on around you?
Well, I'd like to say I'm very, very humbled, very blessed by my opportunities I have and the people I'm surrounded with. Definitely can't get here by myself. And my dad has surrounded me with the right people and the right brands like you, Lee, and basically helps me stay grounded and helps me realize that not everything is truly what you hope it to be. And the best place is to be humble and grounded because you're not the biggest thing in the world. You just aren't.
So what's it like being a young man having to deal with school? So you have you're starring in the Fast Society, which is on it's Discovery streaming. Is that correct?
The Fast Society is going to be a digital platform, so it's going to be over digital platforms, something similar to like Netflix and Hulu, something similar to that.
Okay, so you're starring in that. You're also a student, obviously. You're also on the Toymakerz TV show. How do you juggle all that and keep and in our conversations before we got started here, A and B student as well, correct?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
So how do you keep all that in line?
Well, of course, I have school most of the year. So during those days, I wake up, I go to school, I come home, do my schoolwork, and I go to bed ready for the next day. And then during the weekends or any weekdays I'm needed, I go to the shop and I work as much as I can. During the summer, we just had, I was at the shop 7 days a week, way too many hours in a day. And I work as much as I can because I love my job. I love what I do. And to most people, that's a downside. Most people don't like their job. I love my job, and it allows me to grow in it and allow me to hit my capabilities that I'd like to hit.
So speaking of being at the shop and working, and talking to you and your dad, apparently you guys have or I should say you have a new car, correct?
What car are you referring to? Because I got 4 now.
So let's break them down. What 4 cars do you have?
Well, I just got my license, so I went out and I bought myself a 2017 Alfa Romeo Giulia. That's my daily driver. And most people think that my dad bought that for me, but I've been saving for 4 or 5 years now because I work my tail off to get the money I earn. So that is 100% my car. My second car, I have a 2016 Shelby GTH. That's a couple year project. That's a couple years in the works. Still won't be done for a couple more years. No idea what I'm going to do with it yet, but it's there. Then I have a 2005 Nissan 350Z, and that's a drift car. So I got a wide body kit. I got big brake handles, and that's my drift car. It's snowing here in a few days, and can't wait to get that thing out. And then I just got a brand new 235-inch dragster. So
So drift car and dragster, totally different racing disciplines. What's your favorite racing?
Man, it's really hard for me to say right now. Just barely dipping my feet into drag racing. I love the adrenaline rush of going fast and definitely hitting high mile an hours. But I love drifting because I love going sideways and getting as close to things as you can without hitting them, even though sometimes you hit them. But I like sliding around and just really, I like to hit all aspects of racing so I can really see what I like. I'd like to get into motorcycles eventually. I'd like to get in something like IndyCar. I'd like to get into a few things.
With the dragster, your dad was telling me that that's basically your project. You're going to have to put the car together. You're going to have to find the teams and talk to us a little bit about that. What, how is that working out for you? And B, what is that like having to be on your own, so to speak, in this project?
Well, let me tell you, it's a learning curve. This is the first time my dad actually let me loose and said, look, you make all the mistakes now. So I'm learning as I go. I got to figure out parts I need. I got to figure out things I need. I got to figure out a lot of things. So got to figure out tools, specific tools. I got to figure out a little bit of everything. So, I mean, with the team aspect, JT, he's going to be my Jason, my right hand. And of course I always have Toymakers. I always have my dad, Jason, Ashley, Billy, David Young. I always have them at my disposal. If something goes really wrong, I always have them to go to, and I'm very appreciative for that. But for that dragster, I'd like to take it and I'd like to do a lot of things with it. And eventually I'd like to graduate into a door car.
And what are you doing with the drifting at the same time, or as you're doing the drag car? What are you going to be doing with the drifting car?
So the drift car actually started a few years ago. I think when I was 14 years old. And I'm just slowly working on it, slowly building it. And like right now I'm wrapping it in different triangles. So I'm taking red, white, and black triangles, and I'm just wrapping the whole car in triangles. Now I like to work on that mostly during the winter when it's snowing and icy and a little bit easier to drift and a little bit way more fun. So, just kind of like to slide around,
I'm assuming that working with your dad is where the passion for cars comes from. Is that a fair statement?
Yes, sir. I always loved working with cars. Very first, when I was 1 year old, I had a little electric four-wheeler sponsored by Pampers, and it all stickered up. It was beautiful. And then as I got older, I think around 5 years old, I had my first gas motorcycle. And I just slowly grew up into it. Like one of my dad's cars, the GPS, he built with a motorcycle engine in it. He built that in our garage. So that's kind of where it hit home of the very first project it started with me.
So what about the other side of being David Ankin's son? What's it, do you have the same passion that your dad does for television? And is that the path? Is that something that you're interested in?
No, TV, I don't really know much about. I kind of have to deal with it because he deals with it. TVXQ could be fun. Never really thought about it, to be honest. But I can definitely see it being an avenue I could go down if I truly wanted to. But TV is also really cool because it can show the world everything you've done. It can show the build process. It can show the finals. It shows all the headaches too. Not all of them, but a lot of them. And it's definitely very fun and interesting. So for it being a path I could go down, I definitely think it would be a very fun path and a very entertaining path.
Okay. Tell us a little bit about the experience that you do have with the Fast Society. First of all, give us the inside on the Fast Society. Tell us a little bit about the story and the outline plot, if you will.
Well, basically, Dean Cain used to play Superman back in the day. He's the bad guy, and my dad is the good guy. My dad's name is Reed Carolina in the show, and Dean Cain was a stunt coordinator, and my dad was the stunt man. And basically, he made him try to do a stunt that he didn't want to do, and my dad ended up crashing and having a 3-year recovery. So basically, my dad gets out of the hospital, and Dean finds out and basically wants to put him in the ground and stop it. Basically, we go on to race and go on to win the nationals and make some money to keep the shop up and running.
Let's go. All right, everybody, rev it up. Tension, 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 tension. Action! Go, go, go! Man down, man down.
The final qualifying race for the Nationals are 10 days away.
3 championships, 25-year career, and you're gonna throw it all away over one little wreck?
I need to kick Reed's ass. Do you understand that?
You was my superhero growing up. You're the reason I race.
Reed, your boy talks a lot of smack.
Who do you talk a lot of smack?
Trust me, you're not gonna want to miss this one.
I thought you told me this thing was fast.
But the track's not there.
I don't care. I want to crush it. Make it faster.
We can win, Reed.
And do you play Reed's son in the series?
Haven't really confirmed that yet. My name in the series is Joshua. So haven't really confirmed if I am his son or if I'm just another coworker in the shop. So.
Waiting for the DNA testing to come back.
Am I the mailman's son? Who knows?
That's awesome. So, what else is on the horizon for Brayden? What are your aspirations? What are you working on? What are you planning to do?
Well, there's always stuff coming up. So, at the moment, I got brands hitting me, and I'm trying to decide where I want to go. To be honest, so. At the moment, I'd like to hit drag racing for a few years and get really good at it. Then maybe move into something like rally racing or something different. And I want to move around to different types of racing, but I can't do it all this year. I gotta take a couple years in each thing, and I want to get really good at one thing before I move to a different thing. So right now, I think it's going to be drag racing, and that's where I'm headed to right now.
So with the blessings that you've had in your life, with every blessing sometimes comes a curse as well. So what are some of the challenges that you face, with your dad's celebrity, with, I would say at your age, or maybe not at your age presently, but as a few years younger, I would venture a guess that it's hard to find kids your own age that were into what you're into. So tell us a little bit about that, and how do you deal with that?
Well, some of the challenges I have is it's a lot of jealousy in our school. So in our school, everyone thinks that I haven't made. Everyone thinks that we're bathing in money. But to be honest, I work hard for what I have. I work for 4 or 5 years to get the cars I have. I do as much as I can so I can get to where I am, and I want to succeed to that. Some of the other challenges are like you go into a restaurant and you have guys want to take pictures with you. You really don't have that much privacy. But as in me growing up loving cars and how I deal with that with kids is when I was a kid, cars is all I ever thought about. And still mostly is. And to me, kids don't really understand that. They understand they want today, not tomorrow. They're worried about today, not tomorrow. And I'm worried about the next 5 years. So I want to get there as best as I can, as high as I can. So usually I tend to do well more with adults. Like you, Lee, I love talking to you because you understand where I want to go and I understand. So it just works very well. And I tend to like talking to adults more than kids, if that makes any sense.
It does. It's got to be sometimes lonely, I would think, but at the same time fulfilling. I spent a lot of time work around people that were older than me when I was younger as well. People that I could learn from. It just seemed to be where my interests were. It was tough to find kids my age to relate to that. So. Now, you do play video games because you are of the video game generation, but that's not where you live. Is that a fair statement?
Very fair, very fair. I tend to find the more I grow up, the less I play video games. Especially when I was younger, you couldn't get me out of a video game. I was so into it. But as I gotten older, I started realizing that car video game I was playing is nothing like real life. Nothing.
Right.
You hit a wall in a video game, it's whatever. You hit a wall in real life, it hurts. I tend to stop playing video games the older I get, or at least go away from it more and more and more.
When your dad and I spoke this morning, that's what he said. I basically drive life-size video games is what I do. I get to play with life-size video games.
Very true. You know, you go into a video game and you can customize your car. That's cool, but why not customize it in real life? You can do whatever you want to it. So
now you're also doing some stuff with your dad for tech schools to work with some of the kids your age and maybe help spark some interest in the trades and things like that. Talk to us a little bit about that.
Well, my dad just had a call from High Point University, basically getting a couple people into the shop a few times a week. And just to kind of spark interest, kind of see what they want to do. Because for not everyone's cars, but if you can get them in a direction where a type of something similar to that, then it can help them find what they want to do in life. Because some people go to college having absolutely no idea what they want to do. But, you know, if they can get a little bit of a mentorship and kind of try to understand some of the differences that we have, it can kind of help them push them in the right direction.
Some people wake up at 50 and are still trying to figure out what they want to do. So, yeah, that's huge. You're an accomplished welder, by all accounts. I talked to Dwayne from Miller. He talks about, you know, your abilities. Your dad talks about your abilities all the time as well, and Jason. So, how hard was that to pick up?
Welding for me, it actually started, I think it was summer 2 years ago. Summer 2 years ago, a year ago. I kept seeing Jason weld, and I was like, hey, I want to start to learn. I want to start to learn. My dad and Jason started talking. They were like, you know, Jason doesn't want to crawl in these tiny little spaces. Let's see if we can teach him. So it just started one day at the shop during the summer, and I just started messing with it. Jason was teaching me. He said, all right, just practice now. So that whole summer, and still to this day, I keep practicing because I can never get too good. So I just practice and practice and practice, and just got to start laying those dimes as perfectly as I can. What's
your favorite memory? So Toymakers has been on what? This is season 4?
Season 4, yes, sir.
Yeah. So in those 4 seasons, your most fondest or favorite memory?
Man, I was about 10 years old. I think it was season 1. We were doing an episode called The 3 Generations. It was me, my dad, and my grandfather. My grandfather was down from Michigan, and we were building me a junior dragster. I was 10 years old, and unfortunately, my grandfather couldn't see me drive it. But I was in that car. I was in the staging lanes, and I could see my dad in front of me. He's showing me hand signs about what I need to do, and just that moment of excitement and the moment of how happy I was that my dad's showing me what to do and how I'm actually like driving, and one of the coolest moments I could say in my mind.
That is awesome. I don't think I've seen that episode. I'm gonna have to look for it and watch it. Yeah, that's awesome.
I was a big cheeseball.
What about your most frustrating moment in the 4 seasons?
Man, it was the Beast episode. I think it was season 3. I think it was the White Beast. Man, I remember we were pushed for SEMA and filming date, and I remember like the film crew would come in, they'd get set up first shot, take them 30 minutes. We'd start filming, we'd be done, and then they'd leave, and then we'd still have to finish. So it'd take us 4 or 5 hours after they're gone to finish everything. I remember one time sitting up till I think 1 or 2 in the morning, building the headers for the Beast, like 2 days before SEMA. Just 2 o'clock in the morning with my dad, just sitting there building the header.
That's a long day. That is definitely a long day. Anytime you're doing a SEMA build, it's amazing how they almost always come down to the last minute, getting it done, getting it to the show. Doesn't matter who's building it, it just always seems to work out that way.
Matter of fact, the street digger hasn't been released on TV yet. The windshield, the car was loaded in the trailer, and they were like, "Oh, the windshield!" So they went inside, cut out a random piece of plexiglass, and slapped it there, just glued it in place. And it was on the way.
That's
so
funny.
Comes down to you don't have enough time. Promise you don't.
You're on social media everywhere, as I would expect, right?
Yes.
So tell us about your social media platforms. How do people find you? How do they follow you?
On Instagram, my personal account is Brayden_Ankin, and my business account is @TeamGearheads. And then Facebook, I believe it's Brayden_Ankin as well. I'm on Instagram and Facebook. So.
Okay. Well, Brayden, we really do appreciate you taking the time to join us. And if it's okay with you, we're going to do a follow-up because I want to get some more information on the progress of the car and you know, you getting your team put together and what that looks like. And I'm assuming you're planning on racing this spring. Is that fair?
That's the goal. Don't really know yet. All depends on parts, but that is indeed the goal. So.
Okay. Well, if it's okay with you, we're going to follow up again and get some more information. It's awesome to talk to a young man like yourself that's so grounded, you know, with all the distractions that are out there and in your life, and also keeping your nose to the grindstone in school and everything else. So it's rare today to see that in a young man, and it's a privilege to have the opportunity to talk with you.
Thank you, Lee. Appreciate it.
Thank you. Thank you for joining us, everybody, and we'll see you again soon in the Cutting Edge Garage.